Hello, everyone. I am so grateful to be here this evening and to have finally figured out how to make this video. Now, as you can see, it's not going to be the highest quality video because I'm a new learner with technology and creating all these things. But the goal is to tackle it and complete it. So my name is Shalindell Sissy White, and I have been growing tremendously through this doctoral program starting at boot camp. I have two quotes I'd like to share before I get started on the assessments and the journey itself. One quote is by Albert Einstein. He who has never made a mistake has never tried anything new. And that is extremely true for me. Learning how to be okay with making mistakes, learning how to be okay with not always getting everything right, and learning how to be okay with just embracing the process. The second quote is, most things are difficult before they become easy. That quote has been extremely powerful for me recently in my work environment, parallel to the doctorate work right now and what tasks are to be taken back to work for implementation. That quote has been extremely powerful and has really helped me to get through some growing pains. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm still smiling on very little sleep, very important. So the first few weeks in the doctoral program, the growth occurred starting from boot camp, experiencing myself going into sort of a panic, a kind of meltdown, to doing some work in the Resonant Leader textbook and really looking at the power of choice and taking deep breaths, some things I already knew about, but really taking the things that I know and situating it in the context of some of the assignments and the assessments has really been a huge growth opportunity for me. So starting with a 360-degree survey, I learned, as well as it was a confirmation, that my lowest score was in the self-management category. I definitely was not doing a good job taking care of me, which was affecting my ability to be organized, was affecting my ability to be in a healthier emotional space, which allowed me to reflect on the actual panic/meltdown at boot camp. So the growth started just between boot camp and the first few weeks in the program, from the results of the 360-degree survey and looking at the power of choice and how I could shift from those results. My lowest score was stress tolerance, which that's not surprising if my self-management scores from the emotional intelligence surveys was my lowest score. Then of course my ability to manage stress is parallel to that because I'm not taking good care of myself and I'm not treating myself like I matter. So I'm trying to teach other people that they matter, but I'm not carrying myself in a way where I'm owning that I'm important, and me being responsible for managing myself is priority. So that's what I've learned. I did have a trigger. I had a 50% score in the area of emotional stability. So of course I was like, oh my gosh, does that mean I'm crazy? Does that mean I'm unstable? But then, once again, there was a power of choice. I said, well, I probably received a 50% in that area because, once again, that's in line with a low self-management score, a low stress tolerance score. And when I'm operating in those domains, I have a tendency to be more emotional, take things a little bit more personally, and things like that. My high score was motivation. So that's the good news. I am extremely motivated. I have the power to create whatever it is that is wanted and needed. And there we go. So that's the good news. The other growth came from doing several exercises in the Resonant Leader, starting with my noble purpose, I always knew that my purpose was to serve, but I really was able to put all that together and create an awesome vision and mode of operation for me that really reflects everything that I've been through. It's not just for me. In every experience, whether I view it as a positive or a negative experience, is significant for the next level of growth. So every level of growth, every level of development for me requires a new version of me. A new version of me being more self-aware, more self-reflective, more intentional in connecting in relationships, and celebrating the things that I do really well. That's really important, and that was a piece that I was also missing, was not taking the time to be in the present moment to celebrate what things I do well. And I think part of that is because the way the brain is set up is that for survival mechanisms, if you tell me 10 things that I do well and one thing that I don't do well, it's almost like I focus on the thing that I don't do well because the survival in me wants to manage that too. So definitely a lot of work about being more mindful of that. What else in this video that can remember this week? So I also did the exercise after, looking at my noble purpose, and that purpose is to serve and to be of service and to be a catalyst to empower others to reach their full potential. And that is even teachers, just being there for them, to empower them in ways where they have lost hope and to allow them to experience that there is hope. So doing that. The other one was where I looked at things that I like to do before I die. So there's an overarching theme for me with that, and that is I value travel, wanting to do more traveling. I value having fun. And lastly, once again, I value empowering self and others. I am so committed to ongoing growth. I believe that if I stop learning, I feel like I'm going to die. Like I feel like there's always things for me to learn. Another powerful piece was, once again, the emotional intelligence assessment. I scored the highest in self-awareness, and I wasn't surprised by that because I'm really self-reflective, a person that's big on taking responsibility for my actions, big on asking myself, how did I show up and how am I showing up in a situation? And how will I shift to contribute to forward movement or to progress? Just really looking at that and looking at my ability of, to choose how I'll show up in a situation. That's really huge for me. And my lower score was self-management, which was parallel to the results of the 360-degree survey around stress tolerance. So everything kind of went hand in hand. So that was awesome. I also grew tremendously from Brown's video regarding vulnerability in relationships, and Cassie's video, looking past limits. So I'll work backwards. Looking past limits really reminded me about focusing on what my capabilities are and the motivation that drives that, as opposed to focusing and putting energies on what I don't do well. I felt like, and I learned, the more that I put energy on the things that I don't do well, it made those actual areas of growth bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, which made it appear that I was never going to master it, or it was going to be this huge stress cloud over my head that I would just never seem to get past, and it would provide experiencing wanting to give up. And so that video really helped me to focus on focus on looking past that. Lastly, the vulnerability in relationships was an eye-opener, because I realized that I was not choosing to be as vulnerable as I could be in certain relationships, but I was saying that I wanted a particular result, and that is in relationship to a possible intimate relationship. That was also, happening at work. I wasn't allowing myself to be as vulnerable as I could during those connections that I was making prior to realizing that I wasn't intentionally making as many connections with people as I could. And so I really learned a lot from that video about choosing to be vulnerable without any guarantee that things are going to work out, choosing vulnerability to be a necessary part of a quality relationship, and choosing to fully invest in that relationship, not knowing that it's going to work out, because it may or may not work out. So those are the themes and the growth moments that I've experienced in the program so far. Breakdown and breakthrough during boot camp, results of the 360-degree assessment, all the results and feedback from the exercises in the Resident Leader, my noble purpose, things I'd like to do before I die, the emotional intelligence assessment, I grew from that. I also grew from focusing on the professional demeanors, Brandon's professional demeanors, and the ones that I'm doing really well are the professionalism area. I'm doing really well, and I'm focusing on the communication area, and so that's pretty much it. I hope I did this assignment well, and I made it through a video that was supposed to be 3 minutes. It turned out to be 12 minutes, so I'll get better. Have a good day.